Howdy, folks. We're a little new here, so please don't hurt us too bad. So, with sorry about that. Accidentally muted myself. Uh, anyway, we're going to be playing Changeling the Lost Second Edition here, and if anyone's unfamiliar with that game, that is got some themes to it that might be a little bit much for some vulnerable viewers. One of the major themes of Changeling is mental and emotional abuse, gaslighting, kidnapping, etc. So if at any point now or ever that gets to be a little bit too much for you, feel free to leave. All right, with that being said, let's all get started.
I suppose some introductions are in order. Hi, my name's Jeff Drake, he, him pronouns, and today I'm going to be playing Elliot McCoy.
So my name is Tibbs, he, him pronouns, and I will be playing Kit Cotton.
Hi, I'm Lex, any pronouns, and I will be playing Kenzie Morgan.
And I'm the storyteller, Kenny, he, him pronouns. So everybody, let's get started. On the other side of the world, through the mirror, behind a shadow, is the fairy realm of Arcadia, made up of thousands upon thousands of different splinter kingdoms. This is one of them, the Grand Library, ruled over by its king, the Lord of Tales. From above, it may not look all that exciting. It is a mansion with a great hemispherical dome and a tower in the middle, flanked by gardens and manicured lawns. The tower has one room at the top. This is the Lord's reading room. Within, he keeps his greatest treasures. This room is set up for him to bring his favorite books and read at his leisure. Some of these treasures gathered in the Lord's library are changelings, humans spirited away to fairy and made into whatever the true fae need or desire. Here we have a small overstuffed armchair with a table, and on that table we find two objects. One is an interesting lamp. It is made in the shape of a candle out of brass with a spherical chamber at the bottom from which some might be able to hear the noises of someone or something moving around. Beside this lamp, we find ourselves a small flask and a goblet that goes with it. The flask is intricately carved out of the finest silver with a solid diamond cap. Occasionally, it shakes for no apparent reason. The door opens, and in comes the Lord of Tales with a book in hand. Behind him, nervously, is one of our beasts of the library, a serving beast carrying with him a small stack of books. The Lord sits down, thumbs through the book he carried in, and immediately tosses it over his shoulder. The Lord appears human, except for a few small tails. He has gleaming blonde hair and a robe of green and blue over what amounts to a sweater vest and slacks. His eyes, however, are the biggest tell. He has 3 pupils slowly orbiting each other. The Lord sniffs distastefully. Kit, he snaps at the beast. Bring me another one. That book wasn't as fun as I remember.
I scurry off and scramble to find another one that he might find interesting.
Down the spiral steps, Kit scurries. After what seems like forever, but is, well, in all probability only a few seconds, Kit finds himself on the 3rd floor of the library under the great glass dome. Here, there are shelves upon shelves upon shelves. Perhaps at one time they would have been made of the finest wood, but these days, mostly, they're covered around in other books. It's hard to even see where the wood of the shelves begins because everything is so surrounded in books. Books on the shelves, books surrounding the shelves, books on top of the shelves. The stone gargoyles that serve the library carefully avoid the shelves as they make their way around the rim of the dome. The shelves are so difficult to navigate because of these books. Their job of keeping watch only grows harder. Kit, are you looking for a book in specific, or are you just going to grab one?
Shoot. Okay. Let's. I'm gonna see if there's one that stands out. So not looking for one in particular, just something that looks eye-catching.
All right, then roll me a chance die.
That's a 5. So no dice.
You look at the shelf nearby, knowing that the longer you delay, the angrier the Lord of Tales grows. The only one that you can find that looks like it might in any way sate the Lord's needs is a book on the life of a tax collector. It doesn't sound exciting, but a quick skim through shows that there's at least one gunfight. So hopefully that'll be enough to keep the Lord occupied.
Okay, let's scurry back as fast as I can.
Up and up and up as Kit scurries. Through the door, the Lord is impatiently waiting. He is winding up a music box that he puts on the mantelpiece of the room. It opens, and Kit catches a glimpse of the dancing doll within, looking nervously at the Lord and breathing a sigh of relief as Kit enters the room. Kit, the Lord snaps, the book, now.
And very, very cautiously and respectfully hand him the book.
The Lord takes it, looks over the spine, opens it up, skims a page, and sighs. This will do. In the corner, Kit, I might need something. The Lord sits on his chair and turns on the lamp. Within it, Kenzie can hear the water begin to boil. Kenzie, would you like to describe us what the inside of the lamp looks like?
The inside of the lamp looks like hell. It is boiling and bubbling, and it is full of oil, and there is no comfortable place to be. And it is very small.
So, the inside has gotten hotter and hotter. And Kenzie begins to power it. Kenzie is a Beckworld, a nuclear changeling. This lamp is called the uranium candle. Outside, the boiling noise goes quiet, and a light bulb comes on with a ding. The Lord smiles. His music box plays. His doll dances. And now he reaches for his flask with his goblet in the other hand. He lifts up the flask, uncaps it, takes a deep sniff of the inside, and whispers into the flask, "That'll be a gin and tonic, please." Elliot, would you like to describe what's happening on your end?
Elliot, trapped within the flask, or perhaps the flask itself, is always called on to mix the exact drink that he requires. Elliot, liquid, flask, mixing the fey liquors within, trying to build the perfect drink, something that would mean that he would not be shattered once more on the floor for upsetting his lord, begins desperately mixing the perfect, exact amounts of the ingredients, preparing to be poured out. The sensation of being drunk, not the most pleasant these days. He begins crafting. Would you like me to make a crafting roll for this one?
Yes, please.
All right, so that's crafts plus presence for mixology, and I have a specialty in mixology, so with 4 in presence and 4 in crafts, and that specialty I'll be rolling 9 dice.
Go ahead.
And that's 3 successes.
3 successes is obviously a success. With that being said, Elliot, as a point of pride, manages to mix a great gin and tonic. It's a little difficult inside the flask, seeing as essentially, if he had blood, that's what he'd still be using. But the drink is mixed, and Elliot passes it upwards. On the outside, the Lord pours the gin and tonic into his glass. It's perfect. It's always perfect. He takes a deep drink and sighs. For a moment, his glance falls upon the portrait above the mantle where the music box plays. The portrait is of a man on a horse on a battlefield, sword in hand. The Lord mutters at the portrait. Don't think I didn't notice that sword. Keep that arm steady. He grins and laughs and then sits down to read his book. Time whiles away in the library as it always does. The Lord reads, the changelings burn or serve or freeze at the Lord's whim. Pages turn and turn until the quiet of the library is shattered by a loud screeching voice. Father, my Lord, Father, comes the voice. Come down, 'tis I, your beloved prince, and I have a present for you. The Lord stands up, putting down his book. Then he takes a moment, thinks better of it, and says, this book was born, and throws it directly at Kit. That said, he goes over to the door. He fishes in his pocket for the key, and realizing perhaps this is the one time he has done something imperfect. He's forgotten the key. He brushes a finger over a large steel lock of the door. Says, open. I need you to open. The lock trembles beneath his touch and says, but my lord, I can't open without the key. It's impossible. The Lord frowns and says, I bid you open now. The lock begins to shake. I'm sorry, my lord. This is how you created me. I need a key. The Lord growls, as you say, he says. He plunges his fingers into the wood and tears the wood out, lock and all. You can hear the sound of splintering wood and metal in his hand, and one last scream from the lock before he sets the shattered lock down on the table and exits the room. The door open. Now this is a rarity. That lock is specifically there to keep his treasures in and thieves out. And he had been doing that job for quite a while. Not anymore. Suddenly, Kit realizes he's alone in the Lord's reading room. It's open.
No. All right, let's go. So it's just me in there.
You know that there are other changelings in this room. You know the lamp, the flask, the portrait, the music box, and the lock are or were all changelings.
Noticing the same things that he does, I'm banging on the inside of the glass as much as Liquid is able to, trying to get his attention. That stopper, if I could get that stopper off.
Kit hears vague, quiet noises from the flask as it rocks back and forth on the table.
Okay, so like, guys, anybody in here? Doors unlocked. We can go. And as I walk over to the decanter or the flask and see what they're trying to accomplish, and is trying to assist them.
The liquid flashes upwards, trying to push at the stopper, so heavy, the thing that's holding him inside. Or holding it down. It's unclear.
Yeah, I'll try to pull the stopper out.
The stopper comes out. It's heavy and sharp, digging into Kit's flesh, but still nothing but a stopper. It comes out, and light pours into the everlasting flask.
The flask moves. I'm able to get out. I remembering the idea of legs, I stand and try and move off the table. Not thrown, but move.
The liquid in the flask begins bubbling upwards. From Kit's perspective, it begins to flow and flow and flow into a puddle. Then someone emerges from that puddle. Would you like to take a moment to describe yourself, Elliot?
Elliot, as he reforms, is not quite the liquid or the glass of the flask, but something like both. I hate to call him the Kool-Aid man here, but something of that nature. A liquid moving inside the decorated flask forms the shape of his eyes, his face. He glances around, the first time he's been able to move on his own in years, or what felt like an eternity. He was never sure how long he'd been in there. Kit, the lock, it's gone. I'm moving.
Who else is in here? We need to get moving.
Is there something heavy and like a stick or something I could use?
There's always the lamp.
I'm going to smash the lamp on the ground.
From within the lamp, Kinsey sees her personal hell shatter. Would you like to describe what happens, Kinsey?
There is nothing more exciting to Kenzie than someplace she should not be, suddenly within her reach.
Cats.
So she jumps directly out of the oil, the boiling oil that is now spilled all over the carpeting. Seriously, cat, stop it.
It looks like we're having a feline interlude, people.
So she steps out of this puddle of boiling oil. She is 4'6", with a mane of bright flaming red hair. Don't you dare. And she is a darkling. So the rest of her skin all looks like she's stepped into a shadow. You can't really tell anything about her other than her hair and the fact that she's probably behind you now.
Since everyone else has gotten a chance to, Kit, would you like to describe yourself?
So Kit is actually right around the same height. He's like 5'3", and yeah, he looks like a rabbit person. So long rabbit ears, kind of the like splotchy coloring on him. I don't know the technical terms, but so spots of white and black and orange and stuff like that.
Like a calico cat.
Yeah, like a calico cat, but a rabbit.
Piebald, the chat gave you the term.
Oh, piebald. Okay.
Thank you, chat.
And by the way, chat, this is Kruger, who is currently interrupting the stream a little bit. We do apologize, but Kruger. Likely be seeing a few more of our feline friends throughout the stream.
So
Continue.
So at this point, I look up at the portrait that was addressed earlier. Like, let's go! Come on!
In the portrait, the pictured commander has gotten off his horse and is now hiding behind it. He raises his head slightly and simply shakes it. The music box, the doll still dancing, attempts to move, but her feet are impaled by the rod that holds her in place and forces her to dance. She's unable to get off of the podium to come along.
The music box, is it something the size I could simply take?
It looks to be about a foot square, but it also appears to be chained to the mantle, which is new. It's not supposed to be.
I'm not very strong. Are either of you guys think you can pull this stake free? I'm sorry.
Okay. Give me a sec. Let me think of something. Well, fast. Let me look a thing up here. Okay.
I have an idea, but it's a little gruesome.
And what do you got?
Is it quick?
We could cut her feet off and I could cauterize it.
The doll appears to consider that for a moment before shaking her head as the spike pulls her along on another revolution of her dance. Just go, she sighs. I'm never getting out of here, but you've got a chance.
So hold on, this is something we're not supposed to be doing?
The doll looks up at Kinsey as the spike that she's impaled on continues to bring her around and round and round. Of course not. I don't know what they've been teaching you in that lamp, but we're not supposed to leave.
What's the dice pool to break something?
Let's see. Give me strength plus draw, or if you can justify something else.
I would like to pitch a manipulation plus crafts roll to disassemble.
I can't give you that, but how about wits or intelligence plus crafts?
I've got wits plus crafts.
All right, give us a roll.
Would you like to assist with that, Kit? Not Kit, sorry, new character names.
Kenzie,
would you like to assist with that?
love to. Thank you for asking.
All right, if you guys are going to do that, then go ahead and give me a roll.
I got a single success.
Which I believe gives me an extra die on my current 7, so we're up to 8. Thank you.
Teamwork rolls, people. Use them.
And that is 4 successes.
Okay. So were you trying to disassemble the music box itself?
Whatever seemed like the quickest way to get the dancer off of the music box. Either disassemble that or disassemble the music box.
All right. The dancer is impaled through the feet by the rod, which moves along a groove based on a metal cylinder inside the box. The stage is mostly ornamental, made out of what appears to be polished wood and porcelain. You're able to get through the porcelain pretty easily and able to disassemble the wooden stage, leaving the mechanisms bare. Inside the music box itself, that's a little more complicated to remove the doll from the little pedestal. But after a good few minutes of work, it looks like you're going to succeed. She's off the pedestal, and at that moment, you hear a loud, reverberating thump from somewhere downstairs.
Let's
Go
go.
time. I grabbed the lock, which I believe you said was fallen on the ground somewhere nearby. And
Okay.
and we're booking it.
All right.
To steal the painting.
Grabbing the lock, the metal flesh is colder than normal, and the eyes are vacant and staring. The lock is clearly dead.
Oh.
I don't think there's much more we can do here. We got to book it.
Without any further thought, I'm just going to get moved.
So I heard someone say that you're going to grab the portrait. Are you going to do that?
Yes.
Okay, so the portrait is large. It's a good several feet square. At your height, it's about 3/4 as tall as you are, and if you stood it up on its end, it would be fully taller than you. If you do intend to run away with this, I'm going to need stamina plus athletics at a -2 from you. Anyone else who's taller can do it without the penalty.
Do my ears count as taller?
Unfortunately, no. Not unless you've got some sort of merit that makes those ears prehensile, which I do not believe exists.
Well,
Okay.
I do not have small frame, and we said the dancer was off the podium and thus probably able to move under their own power. So
The dancer is off the podium. She is still impaled through the feet.
Oh,
Wow.
question. Can I, if we, Kit, while we're working the dancer off of the podium, can you grab a spring and a board from ripping apart the chair?
Spring and a board?
there should be a spring or two from the music box we just disassembled.
So,
I'll grant that. That makes perfect sense to be in a music box, especially one that involved wood.
can I do a athletics and strength check to see if I can pull the dancer off from being impaled?
I'll allow it. However, before you make the roll, I do want to mention that you begin to hear footsteps coming up the stairs. Seems that you've taken perhaps a bit too much time in the reading room.
Can we just throw over our shoulder and go?
Well, we have the board and we have a spring. Can we put a board and a spring underneath that spike and turn her into a pogo stick?
I do not believe she would be happy about that, but you can give me a roll.
Can we carry the injured person instead, perhaps?
Probably a better idea.
The dancing doll is kind of large for what she is, which means she's about 8 inches tall. She isn't very heavy, about 5 pounds.
I will take the doll if you guys will take the portrait.
Got the portrait. Let's move.
Yep. And I'm going to snag a pen on the way out so I can shank someone if need be.
All right, that having happened, you guys head down the spiral stairs. You heard footsteps come their way up, and halfway down, you meet whoever made them. The library of the Grand Library is guarded by the librarians. These are changelings, you think. You've never been quite sure. They don't talk. They are blindfolded with some thick black cloth that drapes down their back. They have on robes in burgundy with the Lord of Tales crest emblazoned on them, and carry a golden lantern which radiates darkness instead of light. While you can't see the librarian inside their mobile field of darkness, it's pretty clear what's there. And you're pretty sure that they heard you because they stop immediately, and you hear the hiss of a blade being drawn from its scabbard.
So, I touch a book and light it on fire.
On the spiral stairs, there are a great many books that have been simply deserted by the Lord over the years. Books that are covered in dust, cobwebs, some of the most disfavored books in the library. That means they're also pretty dry. The book immediately catches flame. And you said you tossed it?
Back towards the room we came from.
Okay.
Nice.
So, you toss the burning book into the reading room. You hear the portrait scream, and the librarian, within their pool of shadow, immediately looks up and starts moving back up to the stairs. It seems they're more interested in what happened to that scream than the footsteps they recently heard. However, you are directly in their way. Would you like to move, or would you like to confront them?
I'm in favor of just running. Like, that's just me, but
I think the best way out of here is a direct exit, and none of us are well equipped for fighting. At least I'm not.
I believe we should employ the Joestar secret technique of running.
yes.
We're going to let them go get that, and I'm going to carry this portrait with me, and we're going to get out of here.
So to make sure I understand, are you going to run directly into the librarian, or are you going to let him around you?
If he's going around me, I'm going to let him around me and go past him.
Yeah.
Elliot?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Oh, wrong characters. Kenzie?
I'm going to get out of the way. I blend into the shadows and just kind of stand there.
The librarian hoists their shadowy lamp above and trots on up the stairs to see what happened in the reading room. And you run down. You can hear, fading away behind you, the portrait telling the librarian all about what happened. You come out on the stairs, from the stairs that lead up the tower on the third floor of the library beneath the glass dome.
To clarify, I thought I had the portrait.
Oh, excuse me, I apologize. I thought I misheard you. You're right. You didn't, you had the portrait. And I am a fool.
You are dealing with a brand new setup, dude. It's okay.
That's fun. Regardless, the noise made when the burning book hit something inside the reading room was enough to cause all of this to happen. And you are now down the stairs with the dancing doll and the portrait. Unfortunately, they won't be very much help. At least not at the moment. It sure doesn't seem. The portrait is looking over the top of his horse, muttering to himself, why did you bring me? Why? Now I'm going to get punished too. The dancing doll seems to be tending to her feet.
All right.
You only get punished if you get caught. Help us, or you will be punished.
We're already past the point of no return, buddy.
All right, since you're going to be saying that to the portrait, give me a manipulation or presence plus persuasion, whoever wants to impress that message upon the portrait.
Hi there. I'm pretty good at those. I got a presence of 4 and a persuasion of 2, so I think I'm going to give that a shot.
All right, here we go.
1 success.
The portrait peeks over the horse, takes off his tri-corner hat, and moans loudly. Fine! The portrait begins to move itself and drops to the floor as the painted figure within puts one hand on each end of the frame, hoists himself out. From this range, you can see the brush strokes quite well, and he doesn't appear to be happy. He points his sword at Elliot briefly before putting it back in its sheath and says, if things go the least bit wrong, I'm turning you in. This was not my idea.
You got it. Nonetheless, let's talk about recriminations after we've gotten out of the building or we're surrounded, okay? For now, let's move. What way looks like out?
From where you're at in the library, you look around. The library is multi-tiered. It has 3 floors. These come out around in a ring. Above the library is a glass dome from which you can see the night sky above. Below the where you're at, you can see the floor of the library down at floor 1. And from here, you can see the mansion radiating out. It's built in such a way so that the library is the core of the Grand Library, of course. And there are 2 rings of chambers. From here, you can see doors leading to the kitchens, the Lord of Tales' personal study, and the royal quarters, where the Lord and his prince have their bedrooms. There are Oh, and I did want to warn you, of course, there are several gargoyles patrolling the heights, but none of them have seen you yet, and there are several more librarians roaming the shelves.
Do we know which way the Lord of Tales went?
No. If you have any sort of merit or anything that might give you that sort of information, feel free to point it out or roll it now. But as it stands, all you know is that the prince told him that he was going to give him a gift. Your best guess from that, he's probably in the gardens or the study.
I have a investigation specialty of tracking.
You know what? Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, so wits plus investigation?
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember correctly, specialization gives me +1 die, right?
Yes.
Okay. So that's a grand total of 9 dice.
Roll them bones.
Two successes.
All right, well, that's enough. Sniffing at the air, Kit's sensitive rabbit nose catches the distinctive scent of the Lord. Old paper, ink, lavender, a dash of blood. Looks like he's in the study, or at least that's where he went towards. There's no telling where he is now since it took you some time to get out of the reading room. But you'd probably bet on the study.
In which case, I think the gardens would be the most sensible place to find an exit.
Yeah.
I have a quick question. Since he took a moment looking around there, I'd like to secure myself a hostage while we're among the shell.
What sort of hostage are we talking about?
I'd like to find a book that I think that the Lord of Tales would find important.
Alrighty. Let's keep that in mind as we go then. Because you are just currently on floor 1. So how do you guys want to play this?
Okay. I'm thinking the garden might be the best way. If nothing else, that'll probably give us more places to hide. What do you all think?
The gardens feel like a place where an exit might be.
I would like to use direction sense to sense where away is.
Alrighty. Not sure if it works that way, but why not? Anyway, if you're trying to get away, as I mentioned before, this is sort of structured in a 3-ring fashion. The library of the Grand Library at the center, a ring where the study, kitchen, and quarters are, and there's a second ring beyond it. Only Kit has been in that ring, so only he knows what's in there. But he can tell you that in that area, there is a kennel for humanoid changelings like himself, a dungeon where the disobedient are punished, and the grand foyer where the Lord meets his guests and where they may wait for him. Outside that, you can find the gardens going all the way around, except for the foyer area, which has a path directly through the lawns and to the hedge. Otherwise, the gardens are full of statuary, a few ponds, some nice little areas to read and contemplate the infinite. But the hedge rings all around this after the lawns. From where you're standing right now, you can see the hedge all the way around. Technically speaking, you could escape from anywhere if you got outside.
Cool. Heaven or hell, let's rock. Let's go.
I do also want you to bear in mind that, as I mentioned, the dome is glass. If you're feeling adventurous, you could try getting up there. So,
Glass, you say? Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
alrighty. So, third floor of the library. Where are we going, folks?
How high up is the dome from where I am?
The third floor of the library is more or less where the dome peaks. The actual peak of the dome is about 10 or 15 feet above you. But as you flank around the edges of the area, the glass dome comes down to meet the handrails on the far side. You do actually see at least one or two panels that are open to let the night air in. While those do look tempting, a quick glance does also show you that you'd be in for about 20 to 30 foot climb, depending on where you exited, directly down arcing glass onto the ceiling of the first ring.
All right, so I'd like to propose an exit for everyone. Because we're not going for one of the open panels, we're going for one of the closed ones, whichever one's nearest. As an elemental changeling, my element is glass, despite being full of alcohol. And thus, I would be able to shape this glass into a nice big old fireman's pole right on down to the ground. There's lots of glass here, plenty to shape. I could get us right out if we think we can make it that way.
Just want to bring up real quick, if you do that, that does put you on the ceiling of the first ring. So you wouldn't be able to reach the ground from here, but you'd be able to reach the ceiling of the first ring of the mansion, like with a roof, because you'd be on top of it, which you would be able to reach the ground from afterwards.
Okay, so that's not a direct way out.
It's more direct than going through, but you would end up on the roof.
And there's probably guards down there.
The rest of the library the rest of the grand library outside of the library section itself is one story. So when you're on the roof, you'll be about 10 feet off the ground.
Why don't we just go down?
Yeah, at this point, let's just take the stairs.
Let's go.
Okay.
All right. So you make your way around to find the stairs downwards to the second ring. While doing so, you catch the pool of moving shadow in the distance that shows another librarian is coming.
All right. So there are shelves all around us because this is a library.
Shelves upon shelves upon shelves, and those shelves are sometimes surrounded and piled with books, not simply having books on them.
Seems like we got an awful lot of cover we could be using.
That's true. So do you guys want to hide from the librarian until he passes?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to need dexterity plus stealth from everybody.
I'd like to take willpower on this roll.
Can I activate
Okay.
Cloak of Night? No, probably not.
That's a contract, I believe, correct? What do you mean, probably not?
They're using darkness to see with, I imagine.
Okay, I get what you mean. Yeah. You can activate it should you wish, but I can't guarantee whether it would succeed considering, as I mentioned, these librarians are blinded with blindfolds and using a lamp of shadow. You're not entirely sure what's up with that, but
Any mirrors in there?
In this area, there aren't any mirrors, but you would know, since you're a serving beast of the house, Kit, that there are mirrors otherwise pretty much all over once you're on the first floor.
We should get to the first floor.
If they see with darkness, can I just light up and blind them?
You can certainly give it a try. I'm not going to tell you if it works until you do it.
Is it worth a chance, guys?
Up to you. If we want to do a direct confrontation, we might as well get started.
Um,
I'm voting Dex plus stealth, but
that's
it's an option.
yeah. All right.
Okay, I'm gonna throw my Dex plus stealth. I'm gonna use willpower, which means I get 3 additional dice. But I'm rolling untrained, so that's wits 3 minus 1 is 2 plus 3, 5 dice.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat here.
I rolled 5 dice with 4 Dex and 1 stealth, and I got 3 successes.
1 success.
Did you get a success? At least one success?
One success.
All right. You hide behind the shelves and wait for the librarian to pass. Afterwards, you're able to get down to the second floor of the library without much trouble. This floor of the library is a little different. For one, it's much more well cared for. Here and there, you can even see pedestals with certain books on them. Otherwise, it's structured exactly the same.
Keep going.
All right. Since we're moving through the shelves, I'd like to make a wits plus investigation roll.
Are you looking for that hostage?
Yes, I am.
All righty. Be my guest.
2 successes.
You find one, after a little looking, that seems like it would work pretty well. It's kept on a 6-foot tall pedestal with a big glass case covering it. It is a big, heavy book, about the size of a phone book, but in a very ornate cover. And right down the spine and on the front in gold lettering, you can see the life and times of the Jack of Hearts.
I am taking that.
All righty. You open up the case and you take the book. It's a little tall, but you're able to get up there. And you now have it in hand. The portrait, along with you, is skulking along behind Powder. The dancing doll, which you're carrying along with you, who's carrying the doll? I believe it was Kit.
It's Kenzie, I believe, was carrying the
Kenzie.
doll.
The doll is still tending to her feet and trying to be quiet. She is very slowly attempting to pull the rod out, and has been for a while. The portrait isn't actually being very helpful, but he's not doing anything against you at the moment either.
All right. Well, second floor, let's head to first floor. Let's get out of here. Once we're on the first floor, we can just make a clear line for one of the exits.
All right, so down on the first floor, you don't need a librarian on your way. You're able to get along immediately. The first floor is the most well-kept and ornate. The floors are marble tile. There are huge columns flanked by decorative spirals of books. The shelves are in pristine condition, with multiple pedestals and display areas among them showing off books and various small treasures here and there. You can see the 3 doors leading into the other areas of the ring at the far end. Here on the first floor of the library, you get a true sense of its size. So it's going to be, if you run for it, about a 300-meter sprint. Likewise, however, this being the most well-kept area, you can see, and in some cases hear, multiple librarians moving along throughout the shelves. And I would also like to ask everyone here, since we're on the first floor, to give me a chance roll die for luck. So that's 1d10, everybody.
All right, that's an 8 over here.
I rolled a 4.
I rolled a 2.
Would anyone like to upgrade that failures to a exceptional one? You'll get a beat if you do.
No.
It's tempting.
3, 2, 1. Yes or no?
Come on, Tibbs. Make a choice.
I can't. Not this time. Not this early on.
So, as you look around this area of the library, good point. Chat has a question. How are the librarians getting in and out? They are moving through the kitchens. So when they leave the library, they head in through the kitchens, which Kit, being a servant of the house, you would know that is considered the servant's entrance. The Lord himself leaves through the study or into the quarters.
All right.
All right, so definitely relay this information on.
Yeah. That being said, before you continue, we did have the results of that luck roll. As you continue looking in and out and have your little chat about the information you were relaying, one of you notices the squat stone face of a gargoyle peering at you from the top one of the shelves. Unlike the librarians, they are not folded. The gargoyle slowly unfolds its stone wings and slowly places its stone hands to its mouth in surprise. You can see it taking a deep breath. These things tend to move slowly. So what's your next move, everybody?
Are they stone?
Yes, they're stone.
Can I use fast reflexes to climb the shelf and knock it onto the ground?
Sure. Give me the roll. And this will be contested because the gargoyle isn't going to be wanting to be knocked to the ground.
So I would like to argue. Oh, wait, hold on. Fast reflexes have its own specific roll, right?
Let's take a look.
Yes. Bear with me and I will bring up that roll for you. Fast reflexes in second edition is +1 initiative per dot. So no, it does not.
Okay, so I just get to go first.
Yeah, I would say in this case, you more or less have a surprise attack. So
I would like to argue that larceny and dexterity would work.
you know what? Let's give it a go. Make your roll.
All right, so I have larceny 3, dexterity 4.
All right, and the gargoyle will be contesting that with stamina and athletics. So give me your roll.
I have 5 successes.
The gargoyle only has 1. So Kinsey is able to scamper up the shelves and knock the gargoyle off. The gargoyle hits the ground, breaking a hole in the marble tiles. It's unable to get up from where it is, considering how heavy it is, but that doesn't stop it from screaming at the top of its voice. Ah! It screams wordlessly. You can hear footsteps begin to pound your way.
All right. I grab the portrait's hand and start dragging towards where we believe the exit is. Time to just move.
Yeah.
There were 3 doors. Did you want to go to the study, the kitchen, or the quarters?
This is not an official decision yet. I would like to talk to.
Are there windows?
Here, there are windows that look into the garden, but every one of them appears to be very thick.
That doesn't matter. Quick question. The garden is surrounding the library, yeah?
It surrounds the entire grand mansion that is the Grand Library, so yes.
All right, I'm going to walk over to the window and simply open it like one would a door.
Okay, so as Elliot's doing that, the portrait is quietly cursing up the sleeve of his 17th century military uniform. Who was carrying the dancing doll again? Was
Kenzie.
in your hand, the doll has finally finished removing the rug. It appears to be about 6 inches long, about 1/8 of an inch in diameter. And the end is razor sharp, like someone took a nail and sharpened it. The doll quietly asks to be brought down to the ground. Do you do that, or do you continue to carry her?
Your feet are hurt and you are very small. We have a very long distance to go to get the hell out of here. So maybe no.
The doll sighs and says, okay, very quietly, waving its small nail, covered in her own blood, towards the noises. So, did you guys decide where to go?
We're going out into the gardens, if that's
Okay.
okay with you guys.
Yeah, sorry about that. So, Elliot has opened the glass window. A glass elemental has advantages. You're able to scramble over the lip of the window and into a bush. You guys are now sitting in a trimmed rose bush along the edge of one section of the gardens. Here, you see a small pond, no more than about 10 feet around, with a little man-made island that has a topiary on it that looks like it was carved into a vaguely humanoid shape, holding a large book aloft to the night sky. There are a couple of stone benches nearby for sitting and reflecting. On the opposite side, there is a path that leads to various other areas of the garden and all around the Grand Library.
So are we at the edge of the Lord of Tales influence, for lack of his area, or do we still have a ways to go?
If you were to barrel directly through the the bushes in front of you, you would find that you were in the lawns after you'd finished getting through the gardens. The lawn, as mentioned in the beginning, is pristinely manicured. There is no place to hide, and it's roughly about 100 meters across. So if you were to just run like linebackers through that, through the bushes, you'd be at a dead sprint to get to the hedge.
Can I do that?
You can certainly try and see how you fare.
So, okay. Royal contract, talon and wing.
Do tell.
All right, would you like to describe what you're doing?
I am invoking aspects of moles. And I'm just gonna dig straight as fast as I can out.
So if you get past this, right? So are you going to dig straight down or towards, away from the bushes and towards the hedge?
So down below any like roots and stuff like that, but like at an angle, and then after a little bit, straighten out and just straight out till we get to the capital H hedge.
All righty. Well, if you want to do that, be my guest. So that is going to cost you some glamour. Mm-hmm. Considering what you're asking, I'm going to say that's going to be 2 glamour points.
Okay, cool. I can do that. Okay, and how fast can I dig?
Bear with me a moment.
Chat has a question as to whether this is the hedge or a topiary hedge.
Right now, they're in a garden with bushes and topiary. The hedge is still at the far end of the lawns. All right. I was taking a quick look around to see if there was a specific speed penalty for digging. But considering what we know, I'm going to say that you can dig at half your move speed.
Okay.
Per turn.
Okay. So so that means I'm digging currently at a speed of 7.
Alrighty. Let's take a look at speed.
Dang, we're getting through this a lot more straightforwardly than I thought. I'm glad I was able to get us out a window.
Let me see if I can find something.
Alrighty. I was looking up rules based on movement, but I'm not finding the exact numbers. So for the purpose of keeping this running, let's just put your speed at meters. So if you said half your speed was 7,
Yeah.
dig 7 meters in a turn. Since the lawns are about 100 meters and the gardens themselves are, let's say, about another 10 across, if you want to dig directly, that'll be about 120 meters. So that will be 17 turns.
They're gonna find us in that time. That's not gonna work.
Okay, so what I'm gonna do is after what seems like, so after I get out of the garden area into the next area, I'll pop us up. So at least get us through the through that immediate area.
Okay. So
Breaks line of
you
sight,
can do
if
that.
nothing else.
You can do that then, that's for sure. And a turn, as I remember, is about 6 seconds. So you take about 30 seconds and pop back up on the other side of the bushes. You're now standing directly in the lawns. Let's do another luck roll for funsies. Everybody roll me 1 chance die and give me the result.
I got an 8.
4. Letting the team down this
I got a
time.
10.
Oh, wonderful. Guess what I got?
Oh dear.
So, Kenzie is able to get up and onto the grass. Everyone else is as well. Kenzie's sort of in the back of the group with the portrait, who is doing his best to not be visible from any angle, but that's just not working very well. You can smell the nasty scent of unwashed dog. There are probably some animals out patrolling. As Kit remembers, there's usually some various types of briar wolves out here. But there's something out here that's a little more concerning. Standing on near the foyer, on the steps leading down to the path that goes out to the hedge, you can see a familiar face. Or at least Kit can, since he was one of the only changelings here who was not kept in a room for God knows how long. Standing on the steps leading down to the path is a changeling in fine silk shirt, a coat, and a crown upon his wooden head. This changeling appears to be a wooden puppet. He sees you as a group and points and shrieks, "Lord Father, we have escapees!" He shrieks at the top of his lungs and begins charging towards you, pulling out a silver sword. Fight or flight, people.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm unarmed.
I got a pen.
I've got
Well,
two
mightier
arms.
than the sword, I'm not sure I want to check that.
Yeah. Let's cheese it. Let's go.
I ask the dancer doll if she wants to fight.
She waves her nail towards the puppet prince, nodding her head enthusiastically. "Yes, I want to stab him."
All right, wait. The puppet prince is the only one we're seeing, right?
At the moment, you can definitely hear footsteps from within the Grand Library, but he's the only one who's on outside at the moment. And you can still smell the animals, but you can't see one as of yet.
Kenzie, aren't you on fire? I don't know everything about your character, but aren't you basically on fire?
If I grapple something, I can make it on fire.
That sounds like a wonderful thing to do.
I love this idea.
So I think we would like to the dancing doll and I would like to give Mr. Puppet a hug.
Okay, so are you going to let her down or are you going to bring her over?
I ask her if she wants to run or be carried.
Taking the moment to ask, she hops down from your hand and limps at a rate of, you would guess, roughly about an inch every few seconds.
I scoop her back up and we run forward.
All right, so you and the puppet prince are on a collision course. You can see several other guards coming out of the Grand Library as you talk. A few librarians, at least one or two beastly things, 10 feet tall in collars.
This guy's important. If he's on fire, they're going to be dealing with that instead of us.
You also hear the baying of hounds. So, the puppet prince and Kinsey collide. So it's time to determine initiative.
All right. So, everyone, let's check this out.
I have 2 points of fast reflexes, so my initiative modifier is 7.
We roll 1 dice and add your initiative mod. That's Dex plus Composure.
So you said Dex plus Composure?
Yep.
Plus your bonus from fast reflexes, Kenzie.
Okay, Dex plus Composure.
So I've got a 6 on mine because I've got 3 Dex, 3 Composure.
8. Okay.
All right, so 9 plus 6 is 15. Hopefully that's decent.
All right. Elliot got a 15.
I'm see, I have an initiative mod of 8. I rolled a 9, so 17.
Ain't gonna outspeed the hare.
Kinsey?
So I roll 1 die and then add my initiative modifier?
That's
Yeah.
the one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sorry, I got confused for just half a second. 8 plus 7 is 15.
Buddy.
All right. I'm rolling for the NPCs.
All right, so we make contact, cause damage, get out, right? That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
You grab the sword if it's funny.
All right. After rolling for the NPCs, the order of initiative will be Kit, Elliot, or Kinsey. You've got exactly the same one. So I'll let you choose who goes first.
Kenzie.
Then the portrait, the doll, and the prince.
Okay. This is not the kind of combat that I was built for. Give me just a second.
What, you didn't think we would be tackling puppets yet?
I built a gun bunny.
Yeah, we should have picked you up elemental weapon. Next
Yeah.
time.
The element of rabbit.
Element of luck.
Anyone got a hair tie?
No, you and I tied. The hair did.
Okay. So I'm going to grab the doll off of. I'm sorry, Lex. I forgot your character's name. Kinsey. Kenzie, and move the doll within striking distance and let them attack.
Okay. So Kit grabs the doll and runs with her in his hands. The doll leaps out of Kit's hands and attempts to stab the prince with her nail. This is for me. This is for Leo. This is for the summer court. And this is for your wandering fucking hands.
Yeah.
That is an exceptional success.
As it should be.
The nail goes directly into the prince's eye, and he shrieks at the top of his voice. All of the guards who are running towards you for a fight stop in horror. Elliot, your turn.
I believe I would like, since I'm tied with Kenzie, Kenzie gets to go first, if that's all right.
Ah, yes.
So the worst place for Kenzie to be is the place she's not supposed to be is directly next to this guy. So that's where she dives for and attempts to grapple him. Anything. Doesn't matter. It can be all of him, can be just his ankle. Don't care.
All right. And you said you wanted to try to start him on fire with your, I think it was your Kith blessing?
Yes.
Does that require a roll?
I believe they just have to be grappled. But
All right. All right. So grappling requires you to make an unarmed attack. On a success, you will inflict no damage, but start a grapple. That means you'll have him in your hands.
Okay. So
Chap come up with a good point. So before we get into it, while we can't actually see much of the wood that the puppet prince is made of, what you can see, from what you can see on his face, it looks like it would probably be oak. He's very well polished, and you can see marks where he was carved to give him a face. And a nose that is decidedly short.
All right. So nuclear shadow under Bequerel's blessing. When they successfully grapple someone, Bequerel may spend a point of glamour to burn them as if they set them on fire.
Okay.
Burns an area on the target the size of a torch with the heat of a candle.
Okay, so that makes sense. So go ahead and make your unarmed attack. That'll be strength plus brawl.
Sorry, I've never played a character that actually fights before.
It's all right. We're all moving forward.
Do I get to take my specialty and grapple as a die?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Are 10s exploding?
Yep.
Yes.
3 successes.
All right, 3. So you've got a hold of them, and that instantly does the burn if you pay the glamour cost. Do you want to do that?
Kenzie? Would you like to pay
Yes.
the glam?
All righty. So the radiation of your hand immediately leaves a burn on the prince, on the ankle that you grabbed him by. I've rolled for the grapple, and the prince has lost. So you are in a in a successful grapple right now. From what you've described, it doesn't sound like there's actual fire involved, but he yelps nonetheless and begins trying to tear your hand off of him. Elliot, your turn.
Okay, so he's just been stabbed in the eye, and he, at the very least, is convinced that he's on fire. Not probably able to check too well what with the whole stabbed in the eye thing.
The situation that's going on is currently this. The prince had the doll thrown on him. The doll took her rod and jammed it in his eye several times. Then Kinsey grabbed his ankle, and he is now on the ground with the doll continuing to stab.
So my character has absolutely 0 combat ability, and we have just made it so that this guy has a lot of problems going on, thinks he's on fire, and has, well, his eye is probably out of commission. I think it's time to go over the top of this guy and keep going. I think it's time to make for the hills, figuring these guys are going to follow me, and whoever's following us is probably going to care more about him than they are about us.
All right. So you
Check out Tibbs?
Do I still have aspect of the mole invoked, or did that go away?
I believe that that works until either for one scene or until it is dismissed. Bear with me a moment, and I will look that up for you.
It doesn't specify in it.
Makes sense that it would stick for the scene.
Okay. Can I do something absurd?
We generally do.
Okay. I have 2 things that I'd like to use. Okay.
Go on.
7 leap. Since I'm beast, that increased my speed by 10 for the scene. And then I'm also a a flicker flash. So I'd like to invoke instant velocity. tripled my speed. And then I start digging again.
All right, so you tripled your speed, and what was that other thing that you did?
So I add 10 to my speed and then triple it, and then start digging to get us out of here.
So
Does the Kith Blessing come with a glamour cost?
Yes, 1 glamour.
Okay.
Is that too much glamour expenditures?
How much glamour do you have? You've got your character sheet. How much do you have left?
Okay, let me see here. My apologies. Forgot to do that. Give me a sec here.
starting glamour is 10.
Yes.
Okay, then yes, I have the glamour for that.
All right, so add 10 and then triple it. So add 10 makes your speed 27, correct?
24.
24. And then we triple it. That makes the speed 72. And since I said that you dig at at a number of meters equal to half your speed, that means you can dig at 37 meters a turn, and a turn is 6 seconds. 36 meters a turn, and a turn is 6 seconds. So if you want to do this, you can dig a tunnel directly to the hedge in 3 turns.
And that's what I'm going to do.
I think we got the time for that.
Math, everybody, everyone's favorite part of a tabletop RPG. So Kit dives into the ground and begins digging for everything he's worth.
It's everything I can do to keep up with him. I grab onto his ankle for dear life and drag the portrait dude with me.
The portrait began running the moment he saw the doll leap. The portrait doesn't seem to be incredibly fast, so Elliot's able to catch up with him and drag the portrait into the hole, kicking and screaming the whole way. The portrait is screaming up behind him, "I'm sorry, my lord! They made me! They forced me! I didn't do this! Don't punish me!"
Can't punish you if you can't catch you. We're almost free.
All right. And that's everyone but not Elliot, Kinsey and the doll. Kinsey, who is grappling, and the doll, who is stabbing. This leads us to turn 2. At this point, you are semi-surrounded by a circle of guards and increasing numbers of staff as they come out here. There's a large crowd. About 30 and more people keep coming and coming. Luckily for you, only about 10 of those people are guards. But they're still staring in open-mouthed horror. 3 newcomers on the scene show up. These appear to be changelings, but you can't be sure because they're covered head to toe in black robes with porcelain masks that look like open books. Each one of them has drawn a burnished brass sword and are heading directly for you, Kinsey. But it'll still be a turn before they're close enough to stab you. What do you do?
Can I roll dexterity plus larceny to steal the silver sword?
I don't see any reason why not. He's currently scrabbling at his eye with one hand and waving vaguely at his ankle to shake you off with the sword.
Okay, so can I just take the sword?
Go ahead and roll. This will be a contested action.
2 successes.
Versus 1 success. While he ineffectually waves the silver sword at you, you're able to grab it and wrench it from his hand. You can hear the snap of wooden bones splintering as his hand flops over uselessly. The shriek that he's been letting out ever since the doll started on his eye reverberates even louder. With his now free hand, he points towards you and the doll, back and forth, as if unable to decide, and shrieks, "Get them! Get them! What does my father have a pledge with you for? Get them!" All right. The doll, seemingly completely unfazed, is down on her knees on the puppet's face, continuing to cut.
Hey, we should probably get out of here now.
The doll looks up briefly and then looks over at the crowd and nods, holding her arms aloft for you to pick her up.
I pick her up and dash for the tunnel, keeping the tip of the sword between me and the nearest guard.
All right, give me dexterity plus athletics to reach the tunnel unopposed.
You can do this. Fingers crossed for you.
You got willpower.
Now would be an excellent time for willpower.
I'd like to use that willpower.
Okay, roll.
Four successes.
All right. While the 3 warriors that the prince motioned towards you are running toward you as fast as they can, they simply aren't a match for you. You're able to make it into the tunnel. And guess how many turns it's been, folks? It's been 3. So at the other end of the tunnel, Kit has hit the hedge. As the group makes their way through the tunnel, those who aren't as fast as Kit digging, you immediately feel the world around you shift. It's like you were in the middle of a hallway and in a dream, and then you opened your eyes after blinking and found yourself somewhere completely different. You come out of a hole in the edge of an embankment and tumble down onto a dirt path. You are now in an area that's entirely unlike the Grand Library, which none of you remember. You see a desert. You're in a desert. You can see neon lights in the distance and dense walls of what appear to be glass cacti with barbed wire wrapped around them. There's maybe enough room for a person to squeeze between the cacti should they want to, but there's paths of beaten sand that lead off into the distance. Here and there you can see neon lights, but you can't see if they make anything or if there's any sort of signs. Just colored lights flashing through the cacti.
Oh, okay. So
Way to
I'm
go, kid.
gonna.
The other, everyone at this point has tumbled out of the hole and onto the path. The portrait is hyperventilating at the moment. He's crying and is having a lot of trouble holding it together.
Listen, at this point, if you want to turn back, you're welcome to. But we're free. You don't have to worry about punishment anymore. We're out.
We're dead, he hisses at you. They're going to catch us, and they're going to kill us. I'm going to die, and it's your fault.
So if you don't die, then I was right and we're fine.
The portrait thinks about it for a minute, snorts his nose, and immediately sits up and starts running down the path. Behind him, he goes, I'm going to survive. Whether or not you are, that's your choice.
Sounds like a plan. Let's go!
The doll in Kinsey's hand is simply staring at the nail, the rod that was through her feet, that is now covered in her blood and a thick black sap. You don't think you've ever seen someone look quite so satisfied. Thank you, she says to Kinsey in a small voice. I really appreciate that. I've been wanting to do that for years.
Well, good news. We've got all sorts of time to find new things to be excited about, but they're all down that way, and there's too many reasons not to be that way. So let's go!
Yeah.
So, time grows short, so we're going to keep this brief. You head down the path in the hedge. Many paths branch off, but you can smell in the distance something that reminds you of home. Is that a hot dog? No. Cheese dog? No. Chili cheese dog. There's no way that's the hedge. There must be a hedge gate around here somewhere into the mortal world. As the group begins to think about what they can do, where they're going, they hear several hundred meters away a metal gate clang open, and the prince's faraway voice shriek, take them, my bookbinders, take them and bring them back. Oh, the stories they shall tell. All right, everybody?
Yeah, let's go.
We gone.
Yeah.
Kit, follow your nose wherever it goes.
That way. Start running in pace with everybody else, not leaving them in the dust.
All
I don't
right.
know about anyone else, but if I'm faster than the painting, I'm outrunning him and leaving him behind because he's a dick.
You head towards, Kit heads toward the scent. At the first chance, the portrait goes off onto a branching path, abandoning you. The doll makes no such move, happily sitting on Kinsey's hand. You can see now. Yes, that's it. It looks like a door standing at the end of the path, covered in leaves and vines, and underneath you can see neon tubes. On the other side of the door, you can see part of what looks like the roof of a building looking out into the sky. And just at the edge, you can see two large chili cheese dogs just sitting there on the roof. That must be what you could smell. As you make your way towards that, you hear the princess shriek again. There they are! Through the door, I presume?
Yeah, I think I'm going through the door.
Yeah.
Through the door.
All right. As a group, you leap through the door and find yourself tumbling out of the stairwell onto the roof of what appears to be an apartment building. Behind you, you can see the hedge gate, and you can see the prince hobbling along with one hand over his eye, carrying a crossbow in the other hand. He's loading it as quickly as he can with a bolt in his teeth.
So not very quickly then.
Not very quickly now.
Can we close this door? Can we just... Is it like a door?
It looks like you came out of an actual door, although the hedge gate appears to be on the other side of that door. It appears to be like, if you've ever been on top of one of these types of apartment buildings, one of those big metal doors with several deadbolts.
You know, I'm going to close that door and start just slamming everything home that I'm able to actuate from this end.
As you slam shut the door and close the lock bolts, you briefly hear what sounds like a clang from the other side before you hear the disintegrating hiss of magic being dismissed. From behind you, you hear a voice say, did you hear that? What was... And then you hear a scream, not a shriek of anger, but the shrill scream of someone who is incredibly afraid. And you look and you see on the roof what appears to be a tall, thin person. He looks to be about 8 foot tall, bald with gray skin and bulging black eyes, wearing a lab coat over a shirt that has a cartoon UFO with a heart on it that says, "The truth is in here." Holding his hand and pulling him towards the cheese dogs is a cat, just a mundane cat. She appears to be like a little gray tabby and a little collar. The alien, because the gray alien is all you can think of to describe this person, points at you and says, "What the fuck happened here?" And with that, this chapter comes to a close.
Woo!
Did anybody
Love
fulfill an aspiration this session?
Yes, I did as well.
All right. In that case, everyone who fulfilled an aspiration, mark down a beat for every aspiration fulfilled. Cross it off the list. And make sure to write it down another one for next time. So we're ending here, guys. Thank you very much for watching us and joining us for session 0 of Viva Lost Vegas. I appreciate everyone that watched. Thank you, and have a good night.
Bye, everyone.